Hello Solar Eclipse Timer users, this is Dr. Telepin again. In this video, which is part 1, I will describe the thought process you should use if you are trying to decide to travel to an eclipse that is far away, if it's a really long drive, but especially if it requires plane flights. What do you prioritize? In this video, I will apply the concepts with sample planning for the 2024 eclipse in the USA. In part 2, I will apply the concepts by analyzing the differences between the 2019 and 2020 eclipses that will cross South America. Let's talk about how to choose an eclipse to travel to. Eclipse Event Open App. When analyzing traveling a long distance to any eclipse, whether it's in-country or internationally, the list of considerations is the same. There are about 6 big categories to consider. In order of importance, they are weather and cloud risk, totality duration, travel logistics, image planning, vacation interests, and your personal schedule. The first 3 are the crucial ones. Think about it like balancing a 3-seat seesaw. So first and foremost, weather and clouds. The weather, and specifically the cloud cover prospects, is the most important consideration because you do not want to travel halfway across your country or halfway around the world and get clouded out. So you choose an eclipse and even a specific area in the path that has the best weather prospects. I want to paraphrase something that Fred Espenick mentions in his eclipse talks. He says something like, it's better to see a shorter totality than to get clouded out of a longer totality. The point is, having a clear sky to see at least some totality with your eyes is more important than the totality duration. The second thing to consider is the totality duration. This is a very important consideration. It's spectacular being in the shadow of the moon, and you want to enjoy it for as long as possible. You want to have time to see the corona, look at your surroundings, take pictures, and enjoy the moment with your family and friends. So certainly longer is better. And the totality duration is linked to your position along the path, which is chosen by the weather prospects, and which is also impacted by the third consideration. The third consideration is all of the travel logistics, such as transportation and accessibility to the path, the overall costs of the trip, supplies, restrooms and shelter, the safety of the region, and importantly, what section of the path will you be located in, early, middle, or late in the path? Because your position is related to cloud prospects and also related to what you can do with imaging. Early morning and late afternoon eclipses are more prone to have cloud issues, but seeing an eclipse close to the horizon can be spectacular to observe and can provide opportunities to frame beautiful pictures that you can't get with an eclipse that is high in the sky. You are trying to balance and sort out these 3 crucial variables to make a decision to travel to an eclipse. So again, weather first, totality duration second, travel logistics third. Sort these out first and decide if it's an eclipse worth traveling to. That's basically how you make your decision. So hypothetically, would you travel across the country or halfway around the world for a 60-second totality, but with weather prospects that have a 95% chance of clear skies? Maybe. Would you travel across the country or halfway around the world for a 5-minute totality in a region that would be in the middle of the rainy season and a 10% chance of clear skies? Probably not. A fourth thing to consider is your imaging goals and some image planning. Plane travel will limit the amount of gear you can bring. Eclipses that occur at lower altitudes are easier to set up for and possibly allow the framing of an image with the eclipse and the landscape together. Eclipses that are high in the sky are hard to point gear to. Look at my setup for the 2002 eclipse. This was a morning eclipse with totality occurring at 41 degrees above the horizon. Look at my setup for the 2017 eclipse, an early afternoon eclipse with totality occurring at 63 degrees above the horizon. It's challenging to point gear upward. Some camera tripod heads won't even rotate to 60 degrees. A fifth thing to consider is making a vacation of it. It's doubtful that you will travel long distances or internationally just for eclipse day and then leave the next day. Eclipses become an opportunity to visit other areas of your home country or other areas of the world. Consider if the eclipse path takes you somewhere interesting or a place you've always wanted to visit. If you are using a professional eclipse tour, they will have a tourist group begin an eclipse vacation doing tourist attractions at various locations for 2 or 3 days before eclipse day, and then more attractions in various locations for 4 to 6 days after eclipse day. They also have another tourist group on the opposite schedule, doing tourist attractions at various locations for 4 to 6 days before the eclipse, and then attractions in various locations for 2 or 3 days after the eclipse. Both groups will meet together on eclipse day at a combined eclipse observing site. This plan spreads people out for the tourist attractions and also spreads out the use of hotel rooms, but lets everyone do the tourist attractions just on an opposite schedule. If I have a choice, I prefer to have the shorter time before the eclipse because I am pretty intense about the eclipse, so it is hard for me to relax and enjoy the tourist stuff prior to eclipse day. It's also less traveling with all of my crucial gear and batteries before the eclipse. A sixth thing to consider is your own personal schedule and the date of the eclipse. Does it fit in with work, school activities, other hobbies and activities? Does it fit in with holidays, special occasions, and work deadlines? All important personal issues must be considered. Okay. What I just reviewed pertains to the decision-making process for all total eclipses. It's just as relevant for traveling internationally as it is for traveling across the country. For practice, let's quickly apply it to the 2024 USA eclipse. Make believe you are these hypothetical eclipse travelers and think about it from their perspective. You live in Washington State. What should you do? You live in New Jersey. Where should you go? You live within the path in Maine. Do you stay there or do you travel? Think about a person traveling here from a foreign country. What should they look for in a professional eclipse tour? Category 1, Weather and Clouds. This early cloud prediction map from Jay Anderson is clearly pointing to the best conditions being in the southwest. The lowest risk for clouds is in Mexico. The further you go towards the northeast, the more risky the cloud percentages get. More specific weather predictions will be available as this eclipse gets closer. Category 2, Totality Duration. With the point of greatest eclipse in Mexico having a totality of 4 minutes and 28 seconds, the totality durations are going to be longer in the southwest. That's good, because it matches the weather and cloud prospects. The duration is 4 minutes and 26 seconds at the Texas border, with an altitude at max eclipse being 68 degrees. Around Carbondale, Illinois, which has the distinction of being where the 2017 and 2024 paths cross, the duration is still 4 minutes and 8 seconds, with an altitude of 58 degrees. And it appears that the cloud risks are still medium in this section of the path for those that have a desire to observe at this historic spot of crossing eclipse paths. The cloud coverage percentages get less favorable in the northeast, but these are percentage risks. Remember, any position along the path can be cloudy or clear on eclipse day. Travel logistics. The path will be within driving distance for millions of Americans, and for those who need to fly to the eclipse, anywhere along the path will be served by good airports. But of course, air travel can limit the amount of gear you can bring. The entire path has a good network of roads and ample access to supplies and lodging. Hotels in the path or even close to the path will sell out early, but there are plenty further away from the path, and staying there would just require a short drive the morning of the eclipse. This is an early afternoon eclipse, so there's ample travel time in the morning. Category 4, Image Planning. The section of the path with the least risk of cloud cover is the southwest, which will also have the eclipse at the highest altitude. At the Texas border, max eclipse occurs at 68 degrees. It slowly decreases to 58 degrees at Carbondale, Illinois. This is my 2017 eclipse setup showing how pointing to 63 degrees looks. These altitudes require checking your gear to prepare for aiming high in the sky. Can your tripod head rotate to 68 degrees? Does your camera have an articulated LCD screen? Do you have right angle eyepiece adapters? In the Southwest, it will be difficult to frame interesting foreground subjects with the totality shot. In the Northeast, where the eclipse occurs lower, framing interesting photography shots has more options, but the cloud prospects are risky. Vacation planning. It seems that this eclipse will be an opportunity for many folks to visit Texas. Some others will go to where the 17 and 24 paths crossed in Illinois. Our Canadian friends have the opportunity to watch the eclipse on Canadian soil by going to the southern limits of the Ontario, Quebec, and New Brunswick provinces. The path crosses over Niagara Falls. I'm sure there will be many professional eclipse travel tours catering to foreign visitors, and they will be going to Texas and Mexico. It could be fun to be on the coast of Mexico. The remainder of the Mexican path goes through some desolate areas with many small towns. At this point, the logistics of traveling in these areas is unclear. Category 6, scheduling. For the United States, this Monday eclipse on April 8th is during school and right before income tax deadlines in the United States. I'll bet that tax accountants will sit this one out unless their office is in the path. Families with students can travel on the weekend before eclipse day and possibly get children back in school on Tuesday or Wednesday. So let's summarize the decision process for the 2024 solar eclipse based on the perspective of our 4 hypothetical travelers. This eclipse is a great solar eclipse to travel to. Looking at each of the 6 categories, weather and clouds, very good. This eclipse dictates planning for the Southwest. Totality duration, great. This is a long eclipse throughout the path, but really long in the Southwest. Travel logistics, great. The path is very accessible. Image planning, good. It's high, so plan for it and check your gear. Vacation interest, good. There is plenty to see and do in the Southwest. Scheduling, fair. At least for United States observers, it's a Monday eclipse in April during school. So that's how you do it. That's how you analyze an eclipse to see if you should travel a long distance to get to it. However, there's an additional suggestion. If you are not with an organized tour group, do not limit yourself to a single observing area. Have alternatives in case the weather is not going to cooperate. I have a video called Solar Eclipse Convective Clouds that discusses site selection, and I will put that link in the description. I am happy to say that the new release of Solar Eclipse Timer, version 2, is now a free download with in-app purchases for eclipses, so it is ready for upcoming eclipses right now. You can use it now to begin planning your observing sites. Also, I really want you to get to the path, but if you can't, the new version of the app will now time a partial eclipse through the entire continent. My YouTube channel has videos about using the new version of the app. Thank you for watching this Solar Eclipse Timer episode. If you like my work and you find it helpful, please subscribe. But more importantly, let others know about this channel by sharing this video. Please give a thumbs up and post comments. More eclipse information is available on my website. Thanks again. I appreciate your time.